exercises for coding using their toys, and we can teach the kids how to start doing that in kindergarten using those types of technologies. And then the one that I like so much as a sociologist is thinking about the impacts, the ethical implications of the technology, and how do we protect ourselves from rogues and people that want to use the technology for harm instead of good. So I love this framework. We can utilize hybrid ways of learning as well, because we're going to have to take a little bit to kind of transform the teachers, our education system, but we can tap into this stuff maybe using online learning. There are tons of computer science teachers and people that would help us. We can use distance learning perhaps to bring those people to the country. Maybe they don't have to be physically here, they might not have to be Jamaicans, but we can tap into that breadth of computer science education and those educators globally using things like online learning. And this framework was actually developed by the K-12 Computer Science Association, which is a think tank organization that came up with the framework. So on the data science side, I wanted to share with you some skill sets so we can kind of think. So we talked about, remember data science was one of those, remember it's number 3, data and analysis. Let's look at the type of skills that's required to have a data science. So at the basic level, they're going to have some technical skills, right? They're going to have to know how to do coding. They're going to have to know coding language. Right now, languages like Python and things are really easy for the kids to use. They're going to have to know how to handle data and information, and actually the security and data of information as well. They're going to have to know how to use computational tools. They're going to have to know about the basis of software development, big data, the high performance computing. Remember I just told you about the Summit system? They're going to have to know all about that, and parallel computing, because this is all the workhorse to get the data and information. So we're going to need somebody that's tech savvy. That's the very first thing that we'll need. Next, they're going to have excellent analytical skills, all right? They're going to have advanced statistics. See, this is all math, this is all stuff we're teaching, but it's applied to a specific skill set that we need to develop. Modeling and simulation, this is all of what we do in our center: computer-aided design, computer-aided simulation, machine learning, right? In order for the machines to get smarter, they're gonna have to learn, and they're gonna have to be given access to information. Advanced math, data visualization, experimental design, research. So these are the scientific problem-solving skills that our students will need. And then, of course, you can be a technical person and you can be an analytical person, but you have to have the business side of you. If you're going to compete and if you're going to create solutions that people are going to pay money for, we got to be great business people. And for that, we're going to need people that can do value analysis and be able to quantify the value of the tools and the solution. We got to have people that have great project management skills, because these are all big projects, so you got to be able to push those forward. Business processes, change, so massive change, and those of you that are change management people know that change is probably the very hardest, so we're going to have to talk and teach our children how to do change management. And then we are going to have them be leaders, which I know are inborn skills that we have. So they're going to have an appetite for solving business problems and for providing solutions. So this is just an example. So everybody that is, if you're looking to create this type of person for this job in the future, these are all the requisite skills that they have to have. And so I guess the challenge is thinking for us to think about, how do we implement this? How do we begin? How do we start to put some of these things in place and to integrate them into the courseware that we have today? Maybe we don't need to replace what we have, but maybe we can leverage what we have and make it better. Okay, where to find more resources? Here's some resources for you to look at. I wanted to show you that Google is a big supporter of this. And in the classes that my children attend in Texas, they use Google Classroom. Their teachers use Google Classroom to run their class. We submit assignments through Google Classroom. We take tests through Google Classroom. And Google Classroom is a really collaborative environment that allows you to actually participate not when you're in the room with people, but you can participate at home. Any place that you find a chance to do the homework, you'll have the complete environment with all the information. So let's look at some guiding principles. So we need to broaden the participation in computer science. So we got to think hard about how we're going to do that. Are we going to get new computer science teachers? Are we going to leverage teachers that are already out there using distance learning and other hybrid learning methods to get at the experts? Focus on the essential, right? I mean, there's some basic blocking and tackling that we have to do in learning that we still have to do. People need to learn math. They're going to need statistics. But why can't we couch it in this kind of environment so that they know that when they're learning these tools, it's for a purpose, right? We need to start talking to them about this transformation that's happening in industry so that they can prepare for themselves. Don't reinvent the wheel. There's smart people out here that have already thinking about this. We don't got to reinvent anything. We can just leverage what's out there, build it, put our own little secret sauce on it, because you know we got to put our own secret sauce on stuff, and release it to our people. And then we've got to align, like I said, to these international frameworks, like the computer science framework that's already supported by things like the Global Computer Science Foundation. Think people like Intel, Microsoft have already bought in. They had their experts look at these frameworks. We can certainly do that. And then the last thing that we got to do is we've got to be bold, and we got to take risks, and we got to figure out where are we going with this? What's the future of our education system? How are we going to change it? So be inspirational and know that we can implement, and we can start small. We don't have to go and try to conquer the world yet. We can start small, build our little beachhead up, and then go. So I think I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Grace. Where did Miss Gracie go? Okay, I'm looking for you in someplace else, and you're going to talk a little bit more about some opportunities for us.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So the future is here. What are the opportunities? There will naturally be great improvement in productivity, and we, the consumer, will benefit. Things will become much cheaper and more affordable. Of course, there will be a number of jobs that will be created, mainly entrepreneurship, jobs created in the closet. Makes it much easier, well, no longer in the closet, on Instagram and wherever else at homes. So there are huge opportunities for our young people. But there will also be some challenges. Erica spoke about the lower level jobs. There are also some middle income jobs that, of course, we will find that they will actually go. There will be the change, there will be some kind of inequality as it relates to, you know, that on a construction site, the owners, the persons who are able to employ more persons, they are considered to be the powerful persons, but that is going to be shifted, which is really the owners of the capital and the skills that will become popular and not those who are able to employ. There will be great uncertainty. Businesses will really do not know how to plan, because while you're planning today, you would have done something that you think is groundbreaking. By tomorrow it is obsolete. So it's going to become very difficult for planning to take place. There will be major adjustments that we will have to make as a people. The 3D printing, those of you who got a chance to see the smaller version here, and those who have not, I would encourage you to do so, because what it means is that you can now have a 3D printer at home, wherever, and you would have created your own little cottage industry, and you are getting your thing done, depending on what part may be needed for whatever kind of machine that is being prepared. Industrial boundaries are going to become blurred. So you have Google, for example, is now into autonomous cars, and Tesla which is which is a car company itself, is now switching its focus to focus on perhaps energy. And so that is a major shift. You have to be thinking, remember I spoke about moonshot, you have to be thinking 10 times ahead and doing things at least in leaps and bounds, as our minister would say, leapfrog, and not incrementally. Interestingly, the way that we work will change significantly. P.S. I don't know how you're going to cope with us tracking us coming to work at 8 o'clock, because we can 8:30 and go until 5, because we can work anywhere, anytime, and still achieve even greater results. So all of that is going to change significantly. Businesses are going to be connected in different ways. You will have a number of freelancers and individual professionals who will just get their business up and running. And just to say to you, many of our high school students are doing that. They are creating their own businesses and they are selling products on Instagram and wherever, and the young people are buying these. So things are changing significantly. Now, the sharing economy is going to be moving from one of ownership and towards service. And so there's a survey that I came across which speaks to a car spending 93% of its time idle. And I know my husband will agree, right, Dr. Cornwall? Because you drive the car to work, you get there at 7, and you park the car, and you leave at 8:30. 93% of the time for that day, the car is just there. And so in the future, you will find that car companies are going to be shifted from producing and selling cars to providing a service. So you are now able to go wherever you want to go, when you want to go there, and how you want to get there. So, ladies and gentlemen, how do we get ready? And Erica has given us some ideas as to how the education system can get ready, and my regional directors are here, PS, and just to say, Erica is given willingly to support the education system, to work with us, yes, from the primary level, because that's where it has to start, from the early childhood, and assist us in developing. And so we brainstormed together about some ideas that we can put in place. First and foremost, as the child is born, the child is ready for the computer. They are able to hold maybe the mobile phone better than their bottles. And they know how to find whatever they want to find to make it work. So it's just the reality. And so we have to start from the primary level to create many different opportunities. She spoke about programming, and there are user-friendly ways of getting this implemented. We already know that CXC, for example, is moving fully online in 2019. And so we have started to outfit all our high schools through different means to have the technology available. And we have also started at the primary level as well. We now have to turn what is called scamming in Jamaica to something that is more attractive, where we teach our scammers to develop the competencies to be able to spot where there will be security threats and hacking, so we are able to be ahead of the game. So we have to now find a way to engage them from within our schools, because they are doing it right there, so they understand the techniques and they can get these going. Erica and myself spoke about what she calls a single idea that we could actually utilize within the education system to develop some kind of product or a business. We speak about a lot of time the Silicon Valley. Taiwan, for example, they invested in molds, and they started it from very early. They started to introduce the kids to how to create a mold, and that has become a mainstay, would have earned them millions of dollars. So we thought that perhaps, since Jamaica is such a lovely country full of sunshine, why not look to see how the sun could help us to create something that is revolutionary? That's just a thought that we are putting out there for us to develop on and see if we can get just a single idea for the entire education system to be working around that can benefit the entire country overall. we have to look at how we can bring up the lower level jobs. So we have to stop talking about entry level. And it's just entry level 5 CXC that they need. We have to move away from this to be able to create entrepreneurs and persons who can think and utilize and enhance the technical skills, the analytical skills, and the business skills that Erica spoke about to assist them in developing different products. Our colleges and universities will have to stop the overlapping. And that is why Dr. Cessa Cornwall is here this afternoon, because we are trying to make sure that we create a system. We have enough products and ideas and services that we can provide working together. And so, yes, Dr. Pennock, there is a CMU that has a state-of-the-art 3D printing facility. They have a fact center that is being developed through support from us at the ministry, as well as the Ministry of Technology, Science and Technology. Other institutions should be able to utilize the technology here to enhance their students. And so while that is being done, the students here can also go to other institutions, Dr. Adams, to benefit from their expertise. So the overlapping has to stop. Can you start this video for me, please, sir? This is a little video. Erica spoke about augmented reality, and it's really how we teach in our classrooms. I think it's for about a few minutes, if it will play, that I want to show. It's really, it came from Google, actually, so it's not anything that is not available. And it's really how augmented reality is utilized in the classroom. Can it play? Will it play? And that's the second to last slide, actually. So, if it doesn't play, okay.
You can see the muscles on top of the skeleton all at the same time. You can bring them in and out and exactly understand where things sit.
You can take any anatomical part and show any of it. You can move it around, you can make it kind of translucent so you can see through the outside, and that really helped me understand like how cardiac anatomy worked. I actually had a moment where I found the aortic valve, and it was the first time that I'd actually seen the aortic valve in relation to all the other anatomical structures. You know, it was a way of seeing it that you couldn't do with an actual heart.
I think this will improve students' confidence in learning anatomy dramatically.
By creating simulations with the HoloLens that lets them have an experience where they can fail, that would be the best way to learn, because we don't allow people to fail too much in real-life medicine.
With HoloLens, you could imagine having a class standing around a model, almost like a tour group in a museum, where they're all interacting completely naturally. I spend a huge amount of time to make sure they become the best professionals, because it's all of our jobs to make the world a better place.
working with Case Western Reserve University to create this paradigm shift so that we can leap together with students into the future of education. We believe that HoloLens is going to enable us to do that.
We talked about being able to use it to teach art history. We have an anthropology department too that I think will enjoy this technology.
Anytime you change the way that you see things, it changes the way that you understand them. As soon as you can change somebody's understanding, then they can change the way they see the world.
And that's the HoloLens, which of course is making teaching so easier. I don't know how many of you remember how when we had to draw the heart and remember. And I couldn't figure out how this heart works. And now you are able to see it right before you once we have the technology. So ladies and gentlemen, the charge to us as educators, we must rethink our systems and processes at work. And it means every single person here. Perhaps in the future, Maureen, we'll have to get some drones and do inspections, send to get the information. And once you have the information, you analyze. There are endless possibilities that we see within our individual areas of work. Now, as senior educators, we have a responsibility to start commencing the implementation. We can't continue to hold on to what we have always done and the good old days. There are better days. And so we now have to tap into the resources. When Professor Pennock told us about Erica, we knew about Erica long before she came. And he said he just had to hold on to her because she has a wealth of knowledge and experience and linkages and contacts that can help us. She told me that they're actually developing something for the agricultural sector. And so the center here has some really very good innovations that we need to move to ensure that we understand them and to get our persons to understand. And it doesn't mean that we have to wait on a bureaucratic structure. Information is power. Schools are run by boards and can take decisions and start preparing themselves. And so we now have to find a way to lead the rest of the country as it relates to the fourth industrial revolution. We have to keep abreast, keep ahead of the trends, and importantly, we have to link to the international industries and continue to inform our local industries as to where we are going in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Erica and myself, the fourth industrial revolution is here. Let us embrace it. This is what it is, and we must make sure that we are not left behind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. McLean and Mrs. Erica Simmons. Colleagues, you would agree with me that this was just excellent. Could you just give them another round of applause for me? This is just amazing. I sat there listening and I was totally impressed and also a little bit depressed when I hear about this singularity and these cobots and all of those things that are upon us. Colleagues, the world is indeed changing. We are seeing the paradigm shifts, movement from mass production to mass customization, and then from incremental to exponential, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, all of those things that my little 10-year-old is more aware of than I am. You know, what is going to happen to us if we do not get ourselves prepared? And the National College for Educational Leadership is so pleased to be able to bring this to our principals and to other individuals in Jamaica and across the world. Colleagues, we have to find ways to mobilize knowledge. Dr. McLean, 100% and wholly more impressed. Mrs. Erica Simmons, amazing. Professor, you have a gem, and I'm sure you know that. P.S., you know what's going on. It is just good stuff. And to know that the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, we are aware, we are leading, we are moonshotting and leapfrogging. We are there. Colleagues, this is good stuff. our Director of Programs here at the National College for Educational Leadership, Mrs. Kadia Hilton-Fraser. Could you just join me, please, Mrs. Hilton-Fraser? She's our Director of Programs, and she will be leading the question and answer session. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Engel Town, I don't know how I follow that because I'm in a similar situation. I also have a 10-year-old who is interested in aeronautical engineering, and getting him to study is a task, but he will spend hours with his Lego, reimagining and doing all manner of things in that room with his Lego toys. And I say to myself, oh my Lord, what am I going to do? I feel like, I should be, I'm almost worried. But then I realize that his thinking is leaps and bounds ahead of mine. And I'll give you another situation. He had a story to write, Myself as a Plant, and he chose the Venus flytrap. So I said to him, all right, Google it and look for some document. He said, document, mommy? I'm going to look for a video. That's more interesting. And I said, truly, because that will be more captivating for him. And really and truly, this demands a change in mindset. We can no longer feel like we're threatened, because if we don't jump on it, what's going to happen? We are going to essentially get left behind. And as both persons said, we have awesomely intelligent persons in Jamaica who are creative and innovative and indeed risk takers. So this is the opportune time for us to get on board, to get with it, or the Industrial Revolution will leave us. And I think the thing that I took most was this whole idea of the moonshotting, and even how the adjustments will be made in terms of our society. Because imagine, I don't have to spend 2 hours in traffic commuting to work. I can stay at home, get things done, be more productive, and still get things going. So it really does require this transformation. And I wanted us to add my own thanks for this fantastic presentation. I think it was certainly very current, and it spoke to every single aspect of what needs to change in our society. So at this moment, I'm really going to open up the floor to those persons who want to engage with Dr. McLean or Mrs. Simmons. This is the time. Let us field our questions, comments at this moment. Do we have anyone who has something burning? I know that social media is on, so I'm going to connect with them shortly. But for anyone, the mics are around the room. Please, this is not the time for us to feel nervous. We have to engage in discussion so we know where we're at and certainly where it is that we need to go. Somebody should be leapfrogging right now. All right, I have a hand at the back of the room. And when you stand, can you just identify yourself, please? And your organization. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yvette Johnson, Caribbean Maritime University. Afternoon, Dr. McLean. It's a good time to ask this question because both you and Mr. Bernard are in the room. When will our secondary schools stop making IT an optional subject and ensure that all students are able to put this in their packet of subjects that they take to CSEC?
Good question. So that's a very good question you have asked, and we are on our way towards that. We are currently, I was reminding my team today, procuring, I think it's about 700 computers within this financial year, which is to complement the other about 1,000 computers that are currently being procured through the Overseas Examinations Commission, in addition to another 150 million worth that is being procured by the e-learning Jamaica to ensure that we have adequate number of computers within our high schools, not only to remove IT from being optional, but to also prepare for online assessment, which one person will need to have a computer. We have also started the discussion, and I've started to procure too, because thanks to PS and our minister, we now have an ICT budget about 311 million per year. And so we are now able to procure tablets and laptops to be provided within class sets. So it means that on carts, sets of tablets or laptops can go into the classroom, so we do not necessarily have to provide additional infrastructure for the use of the computers. So we are currently doing a survey to ascertain where we are in terms of the entire system, because outside of what I have just said, there are many alumni that are providing computers for different schools as well, and then it will tell us where the gap is to ensure that they are fully outfitted. In addition to that, we have now started, well, we started from 2016 to provide tablets for the primary schools as well. We have 762 primary schools, so it's going to take, unless there's a major capital injection, it's going to take some time for them to be fully outfitted. But if Nadine Sims, if she was here, she would have said to you that we have worked out a scientific approach where they use the tablets for 1/5 of the timetabled time within the schools, or 20%, and so that will ensure that the students will all have access. The truth is, PS, the bring your own device policy, Boyd, which we are pushing to be completed on time for September, because what it means is that our students will now be able to utilize devices that many of them have at homes, and we enable the system utilize their smartphones for the teaching learning process. So with that policy implemented, then we will see an increase with the number of students who will be able to have access. And so as Erica spoke, what we now have to do is to focus on the teacher training, and strangely, PS, through the JTA, there is a plan afoot for each teacher to be provided with a tablet, which means that they will now be able to utilize this tool in the teaching learning process. So we are not there yet, but we are working towards getting there.
Thank you so much, Dr. McLean. I have a question over here.
Cecil Cornwall. I guess I wear many hats. I must say it was a great presentation. Thanks for having me. You know, it's rather interesting because just yesterday I was watching CNN, and they're saying that the greatest threat that the world faces is not ground war or air war, is really the space war, because it is said that as the information moves so fast and the production of the whole technology, we're getting so technologically savvy. In a sense, the world or the superpowers of the world is never prepared for this protection of cyberspace, as China is currently testing how they can blow up the US and other satellites that control all we're speaking about, which could just collapse the world, because as we become so connected, as we and the focus, whether it's on North Korea, that's not really the real threat. The real threat is because how connected and smaller we are become, that we're not protecting our satellite, which controls all this rapid development. And right now I know that there is a concern now as to how, I know America is looking, how are we going to protect that? Because it was never a thought, it was never in the process that, the world is so interconnected, and if you blow up those satellites by the tests that China has been carrying out, then of course the world collapses.
I just comment on that. That's a great point, and it is actually speaking towards, remember, the ethical implications of technology and what we are going to do in the future. Are we going to use this technology for good, or will it fall into the hands of people that would want to cause us harm? So it's an inflection point, as I talked about, that we're all going to have to think about, what do we want to be when we grow up? How will we handle this technology? Because as it is going to be doing a lot of good in the world, it could also do a lot of harm to our world.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Powerful presentation. My name is Dave Mirra from the Caribbean Maritime University. I just wanted to say first things that, yes, I'm very excited to be here. A lot is happening. The Ministry of Education, CMU, powerful. World Skills is coming up. You're preparing students to go to in mobile robotics, in mechatronics, very, very visionary areas. That's the technologies that we are seeing right here. My comments that I would want to actually make in the presentation that you did on the data science skill set, when we're looking at that K-12 computer science framework, under the tech-savvy area, I think that one of the additions that we could consider as we refine these frameworks for ourselves is that we have to look seriously in the whole area of sensor technologies as well. We have to pay a closer look as to how it is that we actually get, for example, this data. And then once we get the data, of course, we can be using it to monitor or in control, for example, applications. Another thing, again, that I also wanted to point out, as I look around the room, etc., is that you see this whole concept of automation, right? It's here. What it is that we're doing is that we're taking it to another level. And I want, in terms of the public education, that when we speak to people about automation, I mean, a simple thing like the air conditioner right here is an example of an automated piece of equipment that is keeping us at the temperature that we want it to be, right? So it's not like it's a whole, new thing. There are things that we have been doing already that is really relevant in the areas of actuator technologies, sensor technologies, etc. So I want us now to, as we present these frameworks, to really close that loop. And again, as I salute the ministry for its STEM infusion, etc., because these are the things that brings it home and, connects it to everyday life. So I salute the work that's happening, and I thank you.
Thank you so much.
Dave's actually one of our Jamaican, I guess, technologists from the great institute of Georgia Institute of Technology. He's an automation, PhD in automation. So he's definitely also an expert that we can tap into here from the university. Dr. Dave Mirra.
Yes. Thank you. Professor Pennock.
Well, thank you very much. Just want to commend again, both ladies, absolutely amazing. No, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, just again, we're linking everything else. The only sector that is trailing everything is the educational sector, believe it or not. It's a sector that's left behind because we overanalyze till we paralyze. So I'm just saying to us that what I'd like to see, and this is just a call, that we need to connect together. I'm looking now at CMU just to say to us, and I've been reaching out, not getting much traction. We have over $1.4 billion worth of technological investment on the ground right now. And I'm saying it's difficult for a high school to put that in. This is open for the summer. How can we connect? And I'm saying for the summer, we have teachers who are teaching and you're showing them probably just a little video. That is not enough to do transformative technologies. We have people like Erica who is here. We can connect together. I would hate this summer to pass and we waste it. This is what I'm saying. One of the projects we have to, and we need to even make this a priority, PS. We are adopting the Port Royal Basic School. And come September, they'll be in our uniform. They'll be converted to a STEM basic school. And will be adopted. So we can do more of this. I just want to say that.
All right, I see the leapfrogging taking place. I have some
just one comment, please.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Mike.
Professor Pennock, the team is here. Mr. Bennet. Note carefully, Dr. Benjamin. I'm not seeing Mrs. Berry. We spoke about the programs today. I'm not seeing Priscilla. I'm not sure if she's here. We have been invited. We were told before we have to tap in on the opportunities because the future is right now. So the right persons are here listening to Dr. Davian and listening to Erica, and so we have to establish the linkages and ensure that we put things in place. And PSI will tell you, our teachers will appreciate it. They're hungry out there for the knowledge and for the support that is required. And of course, as I indicated today, Dr. Winsome Gordon, in terms of the coordination. So this is something that we need to establish the linkages before we leave here this afternoon for this summer that is coming up.
Oh, could I just add just really quickly, we should definitely salute Professor Prof Pennock, the president of our university here at CMU, for his leadership and guidance. When he talked about the $1.5 billion in technological investment we've made here, we have the state-of-the-art industrial automation training facility in the world here on our campus. Isn't that amazing? Doesn't that take vision and foresight to be able to bring something like that to our country? I mean, I'm just very proud of Fritz. It's my honor to be here with him and with you all to contribute in my small part. But it does take leaders. It takes leaders like Dr. Pennock, like Dr. Grace, to be able to affect this change. So I wanted to just salute you for everything that you've done and your vision, Dr. Pennock, for bringing this technology here to our island.
Awesome, and just in agreement with everything that you have said, we have Alex Singh connecting with us from Brussels, and he said that in order to get our students to start dreaming and thinking up exciting ways to apply new technologies, they first must have access to it. Thus, measures should be taken to improve access to information, such as lowering the cost of internet access, access to computers and software. Furthermore, government should take the lead, such as lowering import duties and sale tax on technologies. Yes. So that's Alex Singh from Brussels.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Engel Town. And I have a comment or question to my left.
So, good evening, everybody. I must say it's a wonderful presentation by Dr. Grace McLean and Mrs. Erica Simmons. But my question to you, Ms. Erica Simmons, I just wanted to really expound on how will the drive in the digital connected world will help us in fulfilling and understanding the concept that is really expressed by Dr. Andrew Wheatley, as we call it, smart cities.
Smart cities. I love this topic because especially if we think about our schools as small cities, right? I've been talking to Dr. Pennock and Mr. McLean about this concept of a smart connected campus, right? And we're going to hopefully implement it here. So how do we look at automation in buildings, right? Lights on and off. A building that's able to recognize your presence within the room, right? We want to do that. The technology is here. In terms of our campus, everybody, all the students that are moving around campus, they're just like citizens living in a city. So we want to start collecting information about people. Where are they going? What are they doing while they're here on campus so that we can use that to improve the customer experience here on campus. We want to use technologies that are related to the Internet of Things to be able to help with our security, right? So that we can have cameras that are looking at our campus at all angles, and we can be able to put forth that information to make sure that the participants in this mini city are secure. I think a smart connected campus, we should be thinking about that is in as many campuses as possible, right? And when you have a smart connected campus, you're going to be having efficiencies in the use of energy. You're going to have efficiencies in the use of water. You're going to have efficiencies, obviously, in the way that we share information and in the knowledge that we're collecting about people in these smart cities. So I love the concept of a smart campus, a smart connected city, and hopefully, and knowing Dr. Pennock, I think we'll be the first campus in this island to have a smart connected campus.
Good afternoon. I'm Casey Akar, CEO of the National Parenting Support Commission. Dr. McLean, Mrs. Simmons, thank you so much. Brilliant presentations. I too felt and continue to feel very excited, but also have the heebie-jeebies, truth be told. But there's something I wanted to pick up on. Dr. McLean, one of the statements you made that stood out for me was the one, we don't have to wait on a bureaucratic structure. That one stood out for me, but at the same time, when the question was asked about our high schools and getting IT, in your response, you did mention the fact that we had several computers waiting and we're going through the procurement processes. And what I want to know is, how are we going to ensure that we're moonshotting? and not get shot, no pun intended, because of the bureaucratic structures that we still have to, we're a part of. As I sat here, I was trying to look at how am I going to apply all this information to my agency so that I can start equipping parents and getting them sensitized and so on. But even in that space, I'm already thinking of, okay, for me to engage parents and to pull them in, sometimes I have to find space. And that's at a cost, and that means going through procurement processes, and that's delaying. Whereas, and then the world is leaving me behind. And so I feel the urgency, but I also sometimes real seriously feel tied by the bureaucracy. How are we going to ensure that we're not left behind when we're tied up in this system?
So I'll make a statement, then I will give you an example. Sometimes the directors are here, so they know what we're talking about. Sometimes our primary schools, for example, they want to start looking at, let's say, the K-12 strategy that Erica presented, in terms of just starting using Legos, for example, and starting with Python and so on to get our students sensitized. They feel like if they do these things, they are going to be castigated by our education officers, or they will not get permission to implement. I am saying these are basic things within their control that they can start right within their classrooms to sensitize our students. So that's what I mean. Instead of you waiting now for the general system to say, okay, it's now Python time, and we are going to send you these little kits, and you're going to start introducing this kind of program. There are things that they can start. As it relates now, and I'll use CMU as an example. In 2002, when I had the opportunity of going to Switzerland, my husband went with me because I was so afraid to travel by myself, and we came across automation. And we saw the robots playing balls and doing all kinds of things. It was so amazing when we saw the things that were being done in mechatronics and robotics in a world skills competition. And we came back and started to talk to Dr. Pennock. I'm not even sure how we started the discussion. And this institution has had nobody understood the vision. As a matter of fact, I was working at Hart at the time, and when I went back, not even Hart understood the vision. And Dr. Pennock took it up and decided that it is going to happen. And in 2000, that was 2002. In 2010, we were able to, through our minister at the time, who is Prime Minister now, get the team from Germany to come to Jamaica and did a one-week training session, and they were introduced to the CMU people. And 8 years after, we now have the largest fact center on this side of the world, Latin America and the world, in Jamaica. Now, I recall they went through the procurement process and it was aborted more than once. Dr. Pennock said he did about 94 proposals. He may have done 94 times 2 because it took a lot. But he never gave up, because at the same time, and that is why as we plan forward, we are going to have a challenge in terms of really how we structure what we do, but accountability, fiduciary responsibility, that's still very, very important, or we'll go to prison. Yes, heading the team, marching into prison. And I can tell you, from my tour of the prison when I was training to be a justice, I would not wish my worst enemy to have to go into there. And I hear that down at the one downtown, they have a Pegasus side and a whatever side, but it is no better than the main side. So we still have to make sure that we do not breach the laws of the land, because in a singular world, whatever that is going to look like when it comes, there are still laws and rules that will allow for an orderly society. Absolutely. Or everybody will be doing everything and creating confusion. So we still have to find a way to see how we can work that. But there are some things that can be done now, and that is why I'm encouraging my colleagues. Sometimes you're a little timid to leapfrog. We have to now start to try to develop those skills to get our young people especially to utilize the technology more and to present to you the ideas and to get them to maximize their potential, some ideas that they have and some things that they are able to do. I could not do it in a lifetime. You tell them any foolishness and they are able to create something for you. And so we are from a different age. Many of us, we are from a different age. But the young people are able to do things 20 times faster. I was sharing this example, PS, with my husband. When we had a caretaker at the ministry and you need a screw or a little bolt, it takes like a month because he comes, he looks at it, and then he says he has to call the gentleman to come and inspect it, and then he says he has to get a purchase order, and then he says there is no money, and then nobody to sign the purchase order. And we now have a young man, maybe the age of my daughter, and I called him and he came immediately with his tool pan, and he inspected, and then he fixed. He put in the screw. The screw didn't even look like it's not a normal screw. And then when he was finished, he said that I am going to tighten the other one because you may have the same problem as the handle of the chair. And in less than half an hour, he was out of the office. And I said to my office, what a transition. And I also said, in another 10 years' time, the other set of young people will say, take a picture and send it to me, and it perhaps will be fixed in 2 minutes or less. Yeah, so really that's the kind of the revolution that is taking place. So while we obey the rules and we remain accountable, we now have to make sure that we start doing the things that can point us into that direction, as Doc says about automation. Okay. Yes. No limit begging. Yes.
All right, I just had Maris Murray just one last comment before I turn over to Dr. Engel Town.
Good evening. Just want to thank Dr. McLean and Mrs. Simmons for a very thought-provoking and very stimulating presentation. Dr. McLean spoke about the Internet of Things, and I am just thinking that we probably need also to look at the Internet of People. We want to, I think it's very important that we engage all the key stakeholders at the school level. And as I speak from the position of the National Council on Education, which is responsible for appointing school boards or nominating for appointment to our school boards, please let us not leave our school board chairmen and members behind, because they have responsibility for leading this change. And so as we think about the Internet of Things, let us talk about the Internet of People. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Flores? Yes.
I think it would be very sad if I were to keep silent, knowing that there is a national standards curriculum. Now, what I would like to bring to the fore is the fact that this curriculum is also promoting the development of our learners relative to attitudes and values. If we're not careful, we find that a lot of the emphasis is on the development of the technical competencies and those technical skills. But when it comes to moral intelligence, ethical intelligence, nothing is happening. How can we provide the support to the system in terms of helping to guide our teachers relative to the area of development of those values? The curriculum has, for example, religious education as an area of focus, health and family life as an area of focus, and we're finding that these are oftentimes neglected areas. How do we deal with that?
Okay, so that is a great question, and again, it speaks to the whole sociological, psychological part of things. And I think we're going to have to have education programs in place for us to think about how we're going to deal with technology. Remember on the slide on there was a number 5 point on there that talked about the psychology of technology, right? So we are going to have to start thinking about the ethical implications, the psychological implications of technology, and making sure that we can develop our competence and our smarts in that area. So I definitely think that whole side of it, the people aspect, the change management side of what needs to happen is an important dimension of this. And if I have not mentioned that and I've focused on the technology, I want to definitely apologize to you. I am always thinking about the social implications of the technology. I know that we can use it for good. I know that we need to educate ourselves from an emotional perspective what's going to happen in the future, or how we can leverage the technology. And it's all about learning, all about perspective and knowledge and information. So I'm not sure how you would add it to your curriculum, but I definitely think it is an area, the technological, the implications of technology, it really needs to be taught as well.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, that's where we're certainly at our peak. 2 seconds, Mrs. Dwyer.
You guys get to come back.
You can't help it.
You get to come back. This isn't it. This is not it. You'll be seeing us again. So I hope we can continue this conversation. This is part one. Yeah.
Okay. So I should go ahead?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I'm Maureen Dwyer from the Inspectorate, National Education Inspectorate. Since you spoke about the implications, I couldn't help but bring up the fact of the tensions between the lexicon. When these children speak, and when the teachers listen, and when I listen, sometimes we're on 2 different pages. But it's not wrong and right. It's just the way things are changing, and there's this thing that's pushing in the background that sometimes we ignore. How do we bridge that divide? Or should we keep it in mind as we plan to organize for our teachers to cross the divide, to help our children move into the future?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the children to help the teachers. And remember, we're dealing with all these generations now, right? We've got the millennials, the Generation Z, all of these peoples that have different value systems and things that are important to them. So it's something that we're going to have to pay very close attention to and make sure that we are communicating with a language that we can all understand.
Thank you, Mrs. Dwyer, for that. Thank you, Dr. Flores. And thank you, Dr. McLean and Mrs. Erica Simmons. Could we just give them a round of applause again? Thank you so much, Mrs. Hilton Fraser, for leading the question and answer session. We are at the end. We do have some individuals online, and those questions will come in, and I'll just ask Dr. McLean to respond to them, and we'll type them and send them through. It's the way that we're moving now. Indeed, today was excellent. I cannot part one, so we have to think about another session to ensure that we really get into a deep dive of what's happening with the 4th Industrial Revolution. But I must say that I have to tell you about all the moonshotting and leapfrogging taking place at the National College for Educational Leadership. So other than our leadership development webinar series, we have so many things happening. We have our NCEL blog, that we have individuals who are in the system who are writing about the moonshotting that's happening in their various agencies, and we're seeing those going out to our principals and to our other executives, and people from outside are really reading and commenting to say that really they're getting to see what's happening in the ministry. We just blasted Dr. Plunkett's blog, Growing Early STEM Talent. It's excellent and imperative for increasing tertiary STEM enrollment. We have coming up the blog for Dr. Hamilton Flores, which will speak about constructivism in the classroom. We will be featuring Mr. Milbert Miller, NCEL trained, a coach at NCEL. He's now at Sydney Pagan Agricultural High, and he's doing great things. You're going to be hearing about all that he's doing. And the principal's voice that we'll be launching in September will feature all those principals who are doing really great things in their schools. You're going to be seeing innovations across the Caribbean. Colleagues, we are indeed leapfrogging. Could we get a round of applause? Thank you.
Yay.
Yes.
Outstanding.
And we are indeed grateful for the support, because the college survives based on its partnership, its connectivity. We are connected with every single department in the ministry, every single agency. We have support from JTC. We have our beloved Miss Dwara, who's always there, NCE, Miss Mary Small. We have all the regional directors. I'm seeing Dr. Troop in the room. I'm not seeing any. I'm seeing Mrs. Ralston. We have Miss Brim. They all interviewed, and the staff at Encel, they're saying, Dr. Engel Town, if you ever know some of the things going on in the region, when you read these interviews, it's just amazing. Colleagues, we are pleased, we are partnering, we are collaborating, and we are moonshotting. Thank you so very much. We have provided for you. We have refreshment at the back. Please enjoy yourself. Please network. Please eat and just relax and take the evening off. Go home a little late tonight. And from the Encel staff, I cannot leave PS. I have to speak about the Encel staff. There are people here. Mr. Neil, show your face, please. Mr. Neil will be leading the social media after this. He'll be interviewing people live on Facebook. Mr. Colin Bailey, or graphic artist. We have Mrs. Raquel Hyman Mitchell, show yourself, our accounting manager. We have a new member of staff, Mr. Jamie Russell. Where's Jamie? Come, Jamie, show yourself. We have Ashima Rankin, who is our records officer. Tamain Lumley. Is everybody here? Sultana Hemans, Monique Kelly. Who am I missing? Monique Muir, Mr. Troy McKitty, and my daughter, 10-year-old Sarah, they're peeping, hiding there. So, colleagues, yes, she's right. She's a part of Encel. And so, we have a great staff, and we are who we are because of the strength of our team. Thank you so very much, colleagues. Tuning out from the National College for Educational Leadership and the Caribbean Maritime University. See you next time. The next topic is financial leadership, and you better watch out to see who that presenter will be. Thank you.